today we are joined with Anthony Johnson, one of the lead FlexSim developer in Autodesk. And first question is, what was your beginning with FlexSim? How did you get there? What is your history with FlexSim?
Yeah, so I've been with FlexSim since 2000, so 25 years now. I came to FlexSim through, I guess, a friend, recommended me, and I made an application. At the time that I was hired, it was a really small company. There were just 6 of us. There were the 3 founders, and then like 2 tech support guys and 1 IT guy. And so it was still kind of like still at the time, kind of an out of your garage type operation, very small.
Adventure, yeah?
Yeah. It was a good thing. I was still in college, so at the time I worked on tech support, just helping people out with their models. We were a reseller for a software that was created in the Netherlands called Enterprise Dynamics. And so I did tech support for that. And over time, I kind of started to like develop, they called them atoms, which were kind of basic objects, do like logical development for that. And I guess the guys were pretty impressed with my skills in programming those things. And so then 2 years later, they decided they were going to break away and implement their own product called FlexSim. And so they had me work with them and create the first, I guess, version 1 of the FlexSim library. And I've been with FlexSim ever since, so I kind of eventually became the lead developer for the entire FlexSim operation, so yeah.
What do you think are the most unique features of FlexSim?
The most unique features I would say of FlexSim are, at the initial release, one of the big things was just an interactive 3D experience, right? You're moving around in a 3D world and manipulating objects. In the simulation space, that was pretty unique. Over time, some of the capabilities that I've been really proud of have been our conveyor systems, which simulate really super high fidelity conveyor systems, AGV systems, and also I think over the years we've introduced process flow, which has made the implementation of logic in a simulation much more easy and understandable and communicatable.
Yeah, I remember when the process flow was introduced, I was looking and was like, what is it? It was something completely unique. No one has it. This, so you can just drag and drop blocks of logic and create the whole logical simulation. I think that why we can do task sequence, we can do everything there. I was like, really, okay, maybe it's not a good idea, but right now, 99% of modeling for us is the process flow. You don't need to do as much coding. Logic is much clearer. You can understand what other people were doing because it's everything in the block format. Block was, I think, one of the most unique. Process flow is my favorite thing, and always when we compare software.
I think a lot of people. It was a big revolutionary change in the way that how people built their models. And that was within the past 10 years that people have done that, but it has turned out to be once people learn,
understand the paradigm,
what it's doing, they're like, aha. There's I think the big aha moment where people say, oh, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this using process flow, and so
you don't need to program, especially, this is an important thing. Okay, and you're a lead developer, so maybe you can give us a little bit glimpse into the future. What is ahead of us? What new?
So the big priorities right now are integrating with specifically Autodesk, but I think one of the big slowdowns for implementing simulations is getting all of the data from outside of FlexSim,
gathering everything
into
multiple
FlexSim.
people in the company.
And so we want to streamline that process, specifically with Autodesk products, but also with other mechanisms. If there are other opportunities to bring better communication in from other things. The other thing that we want to do, and this is one thing that FlexSim traditionally has been, one, you have your simulation engineer who builds the model.
Everything, yeah. Owner of everything.
And sometimes that can be great, but sometimes it can be a bottleneck. And so we've been thinking about how can we enable collaboration in the model building process. And so in the next little while, we hope to bring out some features in FlexSim associated with, I guess, multi-simulation, multi-user collaboration.
Yeah, so, it would be great. A lot of I'm asking about it because with the new conveyor system, especially in warehousing, the models are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you have warehouses for hundreds, thousands of locations. And if there's one guy maintaining everything, it can be a little bit hard. And I think with these new features, it will be much easier and more streamlined into the production to go.
So yeah, those are kind of the main things that we're kind of concentrating on with, integration with larger ecosystems of software, and collaborative development of models. So,
and maybe if you look at your history as a developer, what was the most exciting thing you did in FlexSim? Maybe some project, maybe some history.
There's a lot of things. I think I worked on a project for several years associated with, I guess, some of the things that I have really enjoyed doing is at times I will do kind of, mini projects where I will work with a specific company to create a software solution for them. So I worked on a container terminal project, right? There was a product that we created called FlexSim CT that simulated container terminal operations, and we didn't release that as a general product, but a lot of the things that I learned, I kind of tuck them away. I kind of take that project and then I tuck them away in my mind of like, oh, could this be better in a more general purpose software? For the another time I worked with Coca-Cola on a specific project to create a catered product for them simulating their warehousing operations. And out of that, came some of the technologies later, such as A-Star, but also in a way, process flow kind of flowed out of that a little bit. And so, I've enjoyed going to places and finding very specific, I guess, applications, and then saying, how do we take that? First of all, how do we create a bespoke solution for them? But how could we take that and make it a general purpose, generally applicable concept? So yeah, I think those various projects that I've done over the years have been, refreshing and interesting too.
Yeah, I think it's also kind of unique approach because you are the developer, but you're also making the product. As you are close to the client, you understand what they're doing. Yeah,
that's one of the things that I've loved about working for FlexSim is that I have been the developers were also users, and so there was not too much separation between the person who was implementing the software and the user of the software, so that we could never be too far, we're always thinking about how can we make this easier to understand, for a user to understand, how can we make this easier for the user to use. Obviously FlexSim is a complicated software,
you can do a lot of things,
but it solves very complex problems, and so we've always tried to think about how can we take this complex thing and make it as simple as possible. And oftentimes our developers would go and do individual projects with customers, which is I feel like was very refreshing for our developers, because they come back into the development group and have all these ideas of, oh, this would be nice if we could do this, it'd be nice if we could do this. So anyway,
It's also refreshing. Every year we hold the master class. We get the people that are users and we let them do the presentation how they are building model. And it's very nice because you can see the model, someone has built it. It's the same model you are building on every day, and it's done in a completely different way. It's like, how is it even possible? Yeah, it's always like, because you can do the same thing in FlexSim in so many different ways.
It's true. That's an advantage, but it also sometimes it can be a disadvantage, because sometimes people wish, if I have this problem, I wish that you could tell me exactly the way to do it. But
it depends, yeah.
You know, at the same time, there is an advantage to being kind of just like this sandbox, right?
Yeah.
FlexSim is kind of a sandbox where you can kind of make of it what you want to make. Yeah. So, yeah.
On this day, I remember when I was teaching in university, I gave students a task to make a traffic light. You know, traffic lights. Yeah, it's not so easy, yeah.
Yeah.
Traffic lights. And this one student came with a genius idea, and he used MTBF and TDR, so mean time between frames, to model the sequence timing of the lights by stopping and restarting processors that are the highway.
You can technically do that with an MTBF, MTTR.
Yeah, but I was never thinking about, you can just write cycle time there, and switch sequence is there. So it's always an adventure.
Yeah, always an adventure.
Okay, thank you very much, Anthony, for the short interview, and I hope we'll see each other next year on our InterMarium Simulation Conference.
All right.
Thank you very much.
It's great to be here. I'm surprised at how much this conference has grown. Like, I came here 2 years ago, and it was probably half the size, maybe? It's amazing
more.
How it's
I think
grown.
it was 80 people last year,
80,
and now we have 160 something, So
it's pretty amazing what you've done with this conference.
Yes,
so,
it is.
Anyway, congratulations.
Thanks to you, and thanks to your development, Thank you very much.
All right.